Hello everybody and welcome to MariusCAD. You click on this video, which means you want to learn Blender fast. Regardless of wherever you are, an absolute beginner or someone who wants to recap the commands. The good news is that you come in the right place. So, without wasting any time, let's get started. When you start Blender for the first time, this is how your interface will look like. For 3D, just simply click on General or outside of the splash screen. Or you can also go to New and select General. In Blender, you have many areas or editors, and they are Top Bar, which contains standard menus and allows you to switch between workspaces, the main area 3D Viewport, Outliner, Properties, and the Timeline. You can adjust the size of any editor by hanging the mouse cursor to its border and then drag it with left click. You can also split one editor by doing the same thing. Right-click here and then go for vertical split or horizontal split. I'll go for vertical, for example. I can move it. Let's say I will select here, and in one case I can see very clear the drawing from one angle, and from the other part I can rotate it, or I can open another editor. And I can do it as many times as I want. Let's say I want to open another one. Right click, I'll go to horizontal split, and if I change my mind, I just press the tab key and now I'm able to split it vertically. If you want to get rid of an editor, I'll go to one boundary, no matter which, right click and I will select join areas. You can see now a little arrow. And now just left click on the editor that you want to disappear. For example, I want to disappear this one. Left click and here I am. The same thing will do it also in this side. If you want to rotate the object, hold the mouse wheel and move the mouse. If you want to rotate the viewport, holding the same angle on your object, hold the Shift key and the mouse wheel. And if you want to zoom in or to zoom out, just scroll. To select a specific angle, go here on the X axis, for example, the Y, the Z, or if you want to be even faster, hold the tilde key and select which one you prefer, for example, the back, or for example, the left. To select an object, just click on that object. Or if you want to select many objects, hold the Shift key and select More. And you can see now here, you selected many objects. If you want to select all the objects in the 3D viewport, just press the A letter and all of them will be selected. And to deselect, hold again the Shift key and press that object. And another option, hold the left click and now all of them are selected. If you want to move an object, the hotkey is G from grab. You can go on the left box, select the object, and now you can move it freely in these directions. Y, Z, or X. Or you can use this white circle. And now you can move it freely. As I said before, the hotkey is G. So select the object, press G, and now you can move it. Or if you want to move it in a specific direction, press G and then X, for example. And now you are able to move your object in this direction. The same thing is also available for Y and Z axis. Press G, Z, and now you can move it. Let's say I want to move this object in X direction. Press G, X, and then move it. In the left corner here, you will see the operating panel. This panel is available for most of the commands in Blender. Keep it in mind, this will work just for the last operation, and you can still move the object in our case. But after you click outside, this will gone, and you cannot come back. If you want to rotate an object, select the object, press the R letter, and you can rotate it. But it will respect your current view, and the colors represent the axis. Press R, then Z, for example, and now you are able to rotate. The same thing you can do it also with X or Y axis. And of course, the operating panel will be here again. To scale something is the same manner. The hotkey is S. After that, you'll have here the operating panel. But the beauty of this command is that you can do the same thing. For example, I want to expand it on an x-axis. So I'll press S and then X. And now I'm able to expand it. Also, the same thing is available for every axis. For example, SY. But with simple S, you are able to scale the object uniformly. To delete an object, right-click on the object and press Delete. Another way to do it is just to press the X key and delete. If you want to add an object, the hotkey is Shift plus A. You can see here a bunch of primitive shapes such as cube, plane, sphere, and so on. For example, let's add a cube. When you add an object, it will appear at the same position due to the origin, as you see. You'll have also here the cube point 001 is the new one. To change the origin, hold Shift and right-click. And now I move it here. Let's add another cube, for example. And it will be automatically here in the new origin. But if I want to put the origin back, Shift plus S and put it here, cursor to word origin, and I have it back. Currently, you are in an object mode. To enter in the edit mode, first of all, you must select an object, for example, the cube. Now we are able to go in the edit mode. You can go right here, or the hotkey is Tab. In the edit mode, you'll have three types of selection. Vertex, you can select only the vertices. Edge, now you can select the edges, and the faces. The hotkey for them is 1, 2, and 3. You can see 1, 2, and 3. If you want to select many of them, is the same case like for the object. Hold the Shift key and select as many faces as you want. Or press 1 and select as many vertices as you want. Another interesting fact is that some tools work the same in edit mode. For example, G from grab. Or if I want to rotate it. Or to scale it. Even though we are in the edit mode, it's also available when it comes to vertex, edges, or faces. If you want to extrude an object, you must be in the edit mode. So select an object, press Tab key, and the hotkey to extrude is E. So let's select a face, press the 3, select this face for example, press the E, and now you are able to extrude. And after that, left click to confirm. Also, if I want to extrude it in another side, press the E again and press the Z. And now I can move it in the other part as well. Another very useful command is the command Inset. To use this command, let's go again in edit mode. It will create a new face that you can extrude it, move it, rotate it, or scale it. For example, I press the 3, I select this face, and now I press the I. And here now I have a new face. I can extrude it, I can scale it, or I can rotate it. For example, I selected now many faces. This one, that one, and the other one. To inset individual faces is double E, so press it twice. And now I can move them, I can scale them, and so on. To chamfer the edges, the bevel is your command. Let's go again into edit mode. Let's select an edge, so press the 2. Select this edge, and now I will press Ctrl B. Also, you can apply this command to a vertex. So select the vertex, Ctrl B, and now just move it. You will see nothing because you must select here in the operational panel vertices. And here they are. And for many vertices, select many and press Shift Ctrl B. And here they are. One of the most important commands in Blender is the loop cut. To use it, enter again in the edit mode and press Ctrl plus R. After activating the loop cut, if you bring the cursor to any horizontal or vertical edge, a preview loop will appear. Left click will make the cut. You can also move it, or if you want to be exactly on the middle, just right click. And now you have the loop cut in the middle. Here in the operating panel, you have many options again. To increase the number of cuts, for example. To slide with a factor. Also, a very short way to do it, press the Ctrl R again and scroll the mouse wheel. And now you are able to add more loop cuts with one click. Also, I forgot to mention that all these commands you have here. The next one that I want to speak about is the knife tool. You can activate here, or the hotkey is K letter. With this tool, you can create new shapes on your object. Let me show you. And after that, right-clicking will deattach the knife tool and will confirm the cut. For the next tool, the spin tool, let's select a face. For example, this one. Press 3 and select the face cube. Now let's go to spin and let's press the X. Hold Shift and right-click to move the origin. Let's say here. Of those 3 axes which you are here, X, Y, and Z, select the one when you see the curve properly. Let's say this one. Click and drag the plus button where you want to spin. You can also modify a lot of things here, but for example, let's go to this panel and let's modify the steps. As you clearly see, we can add a lot of them. The angle, of course, it will be the same. If you want to duplicate an object, select the object that you want to multiply and press the Shift-D command. And now you can move it freely. Let's say I want to put it here, left-click to confirm. Or, let's try again, Shift-click, and if I want to keep in the same position, just right-click for this time. And as you see, cube number 2 is the second one. Let's delete them. And another way to do it, you can go to the object, select the object, go to the object, and go to duplicate objects. Of course, it will be totally the same. But if you are going here, duplicate linked, you can duplicate the object also in the same manner, but if you have any changes, let me show you. For example, I bring this vertex and I will move it. Let's delete the original. And here it is. All the modification that we'll make, it will appear also in the other side as well. If you want to make a parent and you have multiple objects in your scene, let me show you. Select all the objects, but keep it in mind that the last one is the active one with the yellow color. In our case, this one. Let's go to the object, then to parent, and to object again. Or the hotkey is Ctrl plus P. If you move, scale, rotate the parent, for example this one, the children will follow. But if you move the child, the parent will not follow. Now to remove any connection, select all the objects, press A letter, and let's go to Parent, Clear Parent. And as you see now, all the objects are separate. Or let's go back, Ctrl Z, and we can also go to Parent, Clear and Keep Transformation. If you want to join 2 objects, for example, let's multiply 1 cube. Let's put it here. We can clearly see that we have 2 cubes now. To make one single object, select both, go to the object, and then press Join. And now you have one single body. And if you prefer the hotkey, select both and press Ctrl J. And it is the same now. Let's speak about the previews. We have here 4 previews type: wireframe, solid, material, and render. In the solid preview, you will see the solid geometry as it is here, but the software uses simplified shading and lightening, perfect for modeling and sculpting. For example, let's go in the edit mode. If you want to select some vertices, for each time you must rotate the drawing, and then to rotate again. And it can be very annoying. To avoid that, let's press the wireframe preview. And now you can clearly see them. Of course, automatically it will be on the toggle X-ray. And now we are able to select fast our points, especially if you want to have changes with them. Now let's have a look to the material view. Of course, we'll see just a simple material. We'll come back in a couple of minutes. Now you can see here the material, but the lighting is done through some built-in HDRIs. But when we are switching to render preview, Blender takes the scene light into account. Let me delete this light, for example. But you can add also multiple types of light. For example, I'll go here to light, area, and you can see it. Let's speak again about the edit mode. Let's select this object, press tab key to enter in the edit mode, and I want to tell you something. Everything added in the edit mode becomes part of the object. Let's have a short example. I want to add another cube. Okay, I'll move it. It doesn't matter where it is in place. For example, I'll put it even further. I'll go out in the edit mode, and as you see, the cube is actually made out of two objects. If you don't want to be part of it, you can separate it. For example, let's go back in the edit mode. I select this surface. After that, you can press right click, separate, and by selection. And as you see here, we'll go out from the edit mode, and cube 001, it is another object, as you see. Another option to do it is with a hotkey. I already selected this face, then press the P letter, selection, and it is the same thing. Now you have another object. And in the same manner, we can do it with all types of objects, including objects with many faces. Let me show you. And look like that. If you want to make an object to disappear or you want to hide it, just press H, because this is the hotkey. Or if you want to make them all to disappear, press Shift plus H. Or another very simple way is to go here as this little eye icon, and you can make it appear or disappear. Let's say all of them are hidden. You'll go here to Object, Show Hide, and I will go Show Hidden Objects. Let's say you want to rename your object. Double click on it and you can write. For example, I'll write my cube. The same thing also with the collections. My collection. If you have too many objects in the scene, it can be very useful to group them. To do that, select the desired objects, for example, those three, then right click, move to collection. Or the hotkey is M. And I'll go to new collection. Let's name it 3 cubes. And then press OK. Here in the outliner, we can clearly see them. And now you can hide once the objects from the new collection. Now let's speak about the modifiers. To add a modifier, click on this little blue wrench, which is located here in the Properties editor, and then click to add modifiers. I'll give you today a couple of examples. The first one is the array modifier. We have a bunch of options here. For example, we can multiply them. We'll have the same dimensions, of course. We can offset them also, as you see. And the list go on. Or if you don't use this modifier anymore, just click at this X button. Another modifier is the solidify. To understand it better, let's go in the edit mode. Let's select this face and delete it. Good. Now let's go here, solidify, the thickness. And as you can clearly see, we add thickness at our cube. This is one side, but you can go also with minus value. Let's speak about the bevel now. So let's add a bevel modifier. And as you can see, now all these shapes will bevel. You can also change the amount or the number of segments, and pay attention. And also the angle. This is with the edges, but you can do it also with vertices. The good part compared to simple bevel, when you don't need them anymore, you can just press X. And it will come in the original form. And now I will add one of the most important modifier. It's called subdivision surface. It will add more resolution to your model, making it smoother. But don't go too far with this level of views. 2 or 3 may be enough usually. Even though we have many surfaces, in the edit mode we have the original points. For example, I will select this vertex and see what's happened. So in this way the editing will be much more easier. And if you want to be even smoother, right click on it in object mode, of course, and go to shade smooth. Another important modifier is the mirror modifier. Now let's go to the edit mode and, for example, let's move it. Of course, you can also add plenty of options here. Or another very important and interesting fact, especially in the practical examples, will be to have symmetry of an object. Let me show you. I will go to edit mode first of all. I will add a loop cut exactly in the middle. Now I delete all these faces. I will go to X-ray mode. Delete the faces. Okay. So now I have exactly half of the cube. And I will go to mirror modifier. And I press Y, and here it is. Let's go to clipping also. And now wherever I will modify this cube will be in the other part as well. For example, let's select the vertex. And now you understand how important it will be, this modifier, especially when you are sculpting something. Speaking of practical drawing, now let's have a short look about the camera. To enter in the camera view, select this camera icon, and to exit, click it again. To move it, you must select the frame first of all, and press G. And if you want to zoom in or to zoom out, press the mouse wheel and scroll. One of my favorite options is to press N, go to the View tab and select Camera to View. Now in this way we can move the camera freely without exiting the camera view. Exactly like in a normal viewport. Moreover, with the camera selected, we have access to the properties. You can modify the format, the aspect ratio, the frame rate, and so on. And also, you can modify how you will export the render. Now let's speak about the materials and lights, as I promised to you. To add a material or at least one color to your model, go to the material properties here and select New. We have already a material selected here. It is a default one, doesn't matter. If you want to add more, click on this plus button. Let's go here to base color and select, let's say, a red one. Of course, you will see nothing here because we are in object mode. Let's go to material preview and look at that. Our cube now is red. If you are changing to render preview, you will see here also the color, of course, but you also can add the light. Let's delete this one again. And now let's add a light, for example. Light, let's select area, GZ. When a light is selected, you can change the settings. For example, the strength. I'll press here data and let's modify the power. And you'll see that it will become stronger and stronger. For example, select the light, press the S, and you can make it also bigger. And you will see. If there are many objects in the scene, for example, I will add now another UV sphere, for example. Move it. You can add material in the same manner. New, I'll write here, for example, sphere. And I can add another color. Or if I want to bring the same color or the same material to that one, I'll select it, I will go here and I will bring material. And both will have the same material or color. Now let's delete it. Let's have another experiment. Let's go back. This one you can hide it. Camera also. Maybe you want to add more materials to the same object. Go to the edit mode, press the tab key, don't forget. Now select the surface that you want to color, press 3 and select this surface, for example. and add a new material slot. New, I will go to green, for example, and after that press assign. And look like that. Now we have one single object, the cube in our case, but it has two colors, not one. Or you can add also another material. It doesn't matter. The point is that you have one single object, not two objects, or to separate this surface, as I said you previously. For the final part of this tutorial, we will speak about rendering. In the out properties, you can set the resolution to the final image. Then, in the render properties here, you can select the render engine. EV is for the real-time views, while cycles will take longer to render, but you will achieve better results. And you can also select the device. I encourage you to use GPU compute. Here, you can also set how many samples you want, a time limit maybe, and so on. For example, I want to max sample, let's say 100, and without a time limit. After you set them, let's jump to Render menu and select the render image. Now this is your final render image. After the render is done, click Save As, go to Image, Save As, select where you'd like to save, let it here in PNG, and just go Save as Image. After you save it, you can close this tab. I hope this video helped you. Of course, after this tutorial, you'll not be recognized as a 3D artist, but you made the first step and you are already on the right road. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to see more upcoming videos for Blender. Check my other YouTube channel to learn other 3D software. Link in description. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and see you next time.